Welcome to Well To Do. I am Andi Lew, and this is the podcast that's going to help you have absolute abundance when it comes to wellness and love. But you have known me for, I guess, knowing how to slow aging. It's one of the things that you really love to hear from me. And I spend my life researching on all of the different things that can help you do just that. One of the things, and I must say thank you to the gift Aries Tech has given us, the Aries company has given our next guest today a special, EMF harmonizing device, which I'm going to give to her very soon. But with that in mind, I'd like to introduce Toby, who is from True Niagen. And, I would just like to say welcome all the way from New York to Well To Do.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's really amazing that you've come all the way to talk to us about the three buzzwords, or letters, should I say, NAD. Everyone's talking about it.
Yes, it is huge. So I'm a partner with Niagen Bioscience, who is the creator of True Niagen. And I'm going to tell you and explain to you everything,
right?
Because it really is a confusing topic, and that's why I'm here.
It sure is. Now, you started off in dietetics. You're a dietitian,
I'm a registered dietitian with a clinical background in clinical nutrition and dietetics and a master's degree in it as well.
And we just need to dive deep today into this, I guess, wonder food or wonderful supplement that NAD is. We are shortening it. Some people call it NAD+. The true name for it is...
Oh, you go ahead and do it.
Nicotinamide. Nicotinamide. There you go. Say it 3 times.
That's why we say NAD.
Right. So, but here's the thing. Everybody's actually going NAD this, NAD that. And there is really a lot of myths and misconceptions. So we're going to unpack that. We're going to talk about the importance of why this is something that's going to help you to slow aging. And we also want to talk about the story behind why this even came about, because, celebrities are talking about it. We've got people using it just for everyday mitochondrial function optimization. Somebody like myself in my 50s now, I'm starting to use it. But let's talk about your journey and story and why you became personally interested in this.
So for me, like I said, I'm a registered dietitian. I'm actually the nutrition expert at Food Network for almost 20 years as well. And so I'm in the media. I know everything that's going on. And for me, when people get it wrong, it really upsets me, especially from a scientific background that I am a registered dietitian. And so when I saw the misinformation really spreading around, I went to True Niagen and, I said, I don't like this. I need to get this right. I want to talk to reporters. I want to be the one who really gets it right, because it is an absolutely amazing supplement. It does amazing things, and I'll explain the science. They really have so much science behind it, but understanding it, and we're going to have a little bit of a chemistry today. So just bear with me.
That's good. No, my listeners and audience just love learning about how the body works, right? You have to learn how the body works so that you can give them this optimal environment. If we don't understand, we know that we have to take a pill, but what does it do? So then that jacuzzi effect will wear off after a while and be like, okay, I'm done with taking this. I don't understand what it's doing. So let's get really nerdy about this. Indeed.
That's what I am. I'm the nutrition nerd. So no, I agree with you 100%. But, it all starts with the mitochondrion, right? So that is your cellular powerhouse. And that's really where you have cellular function, cellular energy. It also has repair in there. And that's what helps support a lot of different functions, like fertility, like recovery, and like your everyday health, right? So then we have NAD. So what the heck does NAD have to do with that? It's a coenzyme responsible for hundreds of reactions within the mitochondrial and to support cellular energy and DNA repair. Without it, your cell will die. So now what? So NAD, we're born with NAD in our cells. As you age, so you and I are both around the same age.
Right.
So by 30, it starts to decline. And by 70, you have a 65% decline in NAD. Okay, so why does it decline? right?
Well,
Think
we have
about
a lot of toxic stressors around us.
you. So
That
you
are
know
all
this.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, look, superfoods was one of the electives that I did when I studied to become a certified food, lifestyle, and wellness coach. And I remember studying in particular the role of the mitochondria. And it's so important to understand that we have, whether it's chemicals, pesticides, environmental pollution and toxins, we have cigarettes, alcohol, drugs, and everything. There's all destroying the cell at a cellular level. And so free radicals, let's talk about that, and then how we can actually help the cell to repair or just produce its own NAD, because this is what we need to get to the root of today, is not just injecting NAD or orally taking NAD, but how to support, I guess, the body to make its own NAD.
The most efficiently. And that's the key word, the most efficiently. So, okay, so other things, UV light, a poor diet, and the research shows that high fat diets, especially like the saturated fats and added sugars, those can contribute also. And being just like a couch potato, not doing your physical activity.
Oh, yeah.
And so from a nutrition perspective, don't we always look at food first, right?
Yes.
We always have to look at food first. So what are some other lifestyle things that we can make NAD naturally go up? Because we always want to start the natural route, but it's restricting calories a lot, which is not something you want to do if you want to get all your nutrients in. So that's not really viable, and I wouldn't recommend that.
Autophagy isn't for everybody.
Right.
But do, obviously, if you're interested in that, get, medical help as you're doing that.
Always like with your doctor. The other thing is extreme exercise, like a ton of exercise. Again, not for everybody. Go see your doctor if that's what you want to do. Like I've done I play competitive tennis, so I do like that. But it's not for everyone, and not everyone does it all the time. The other thing is, what about food? There's so little in food. You would have to drink close to 90 gallons of milk to get the same 300 milligrams that you find in a capsule of one True Niagen, like a 300 milligram capsule.
Milk coming from a cow isn't always bioavailable to the human gut as well.
Well, there's some other issues there, but just to give you an idea of how little, and there are other foods, you would have to take so much just to get that 300 milligram level. So there really is. So this is when, okay, it's time for supplements, because there's a lot of things out of our control.
And our food isn't farmed the same way anymore. The nutrition comes from the soil. Biodynamic farmers laugh at organic farmers thinking, well, what's that got to do with it? Because the soil is being contaminated, right?
There's a lot of contamination from the environment in different ways. So, okay, now we need some help. But now now I'm all confused because there's so many different supplements that say NAD out there, right? Okay. So
what's the difference?
Thank you. That's where we are. And remember, I said most efficient. So you've heard NAD, right? So you're like, I'm taking the NAD plus, I'm taking the NAD plus. NAD can increase NAD, but it's not efficient. Why? It's a large molecule, and so it's hard to get in the cell. And you've heard of celebrities. You said celebrities take NAD IV.
Yeah.
It actually has a little immune response. So the side effects, they get like flu-like symptoms.
Right. Now, also, there has been some research about the IV bags, which contain microplastics in them as well. So there's a little bit of warning going on. I've taken the NAD shot, but that's not for everyone. It's expensive. It can be painful if you don't like needles, even though it's a little sting. The IV bag, I wouldn't recommend.
Well, the FDA doesn't recommend it. So NAD doesn't have a lot of research behind it itself. So the NAD, to increase NAD, the molecule is large, so it's not efficiently getting into your cells to increase the
enzymes
NAD.
in the gut are breaking it down.
But it's until it goes into the cell, it's a large cell, and it has to be broken down to get into the cell.
Got it.
So that's not the efficient way to do it.
Okay.
The FDA also warned that there's these pop-ups and NAD places, and people are getting infections also. So besides what you had said, that there's a lot of risk. Okay, so NAD is not efficient. So now what? So there's two precursors then. Precursors are almost like before it goes into helpers, if you will.
Yeah, the precursor is the helper to help us make our own NAD. Is that right?
Yes. So there's two. So first is NR, nicotinamide ribosomide, NR, and that's where Niagen has a patented version.
Or NMN, but that's not as,
efficient.
Supported with enough research to say that that's effective. So the NR is the most effective way as a precursor for your body to make its own NAD.
And let's explain why that molecule is smaller.
Okay.
The molecule is smaller, so it can go right into the cell. NMN has a phosphate group attached, so it has to get rid of the phosphate group, then it turns actually into an NR and then can go into the cell.
Oh, wow.
So it's not an efficient way to go in. Not only that, the NR, the nicotinamide ribosomide biniogen, which you have over here.
It's a patented form, this one.
Thank you. So not only that, what form you're taking in the pill or in the IV, because they have both, is what's been studied in clinical studies.
Got it.
So the exact form. And when it comes to NMN, first of all, it was in 2022, the FDA said it was illegal.
Wow.
Let me explain why. So it filed as a pharmaceutical grade and then said, no, we want to do a supplement.
Okay.
So then a couple weeks ago, the FDA overturned it and said, okay, you're legal now. But the problem is there's one big company, and this company patented different versions of NMN. And so you have all these other companies that use NMN. So they're going over, like, there's red flags everywhere here. It's like I don't date guys who have red flags. I'm not taking supplements.
What about orange flags? Just kidding.
Orange flags too. I like the green. I'm very simple, green. But you see my point.
Yes.
My point, there's a lot of like noise over there, and I don't want to go there. And not only that, when research has been done on some NMN supplements, you actually have found they don't have the right amount that they're calling for. It could be contaminated in different ways. It may have none of the NMN. It may have double the NMN or somewhere in between there. And so there's just a lot of noise that way. And so that's not something I would recommend. And when it comes also to True Niagen and NR, when you take it, it can increase your NAD 150% within 3 weeks.
I think there was some research or marketing rather around Nobel Peace Prize. No, Nobel Peace Prize.
There are people who are on Niagen Bioscience who have won the Nobel Prize.
The Nobel Prize. I'm thinking peace because we've got so much division about allopathy, the medical model, and wellness, right? So when you talk about FDA, my mind just goes to that division, that war against like drugs and natural supplements and, you know, not allowing us to have something or regulating something. And there is just so much noise around that, right?
There is a lot of noise, but when something starts to flip-flop and go like different directions, you're like, wait, you just filed as a pharmaceutical, fine, and you got accepted, great. But then you're filing as this, and then you're fighting it, and then this person patented like so many forms of it. Plus, it's not even that efficient because it has to break that, take off that phosphate group.
Yes.
So the bottom line is, remember I said, what's the most efficient? And NR really is the most efficient.
Got it.
The IV, so it's in pill form.
Yep.
Powder form.
Yeah.
And then you can do IV as well. And they have shots, like you said. So it is 75% quicker than the NAD IVs, minimal side effects. So you don't get all those flu-like symptoms. And then within 3 hours, your NAD goes up by 20%.
And so what do some people report that they are experiencing when they have had the magic 3 letters NAD?
So when they take, specifically when they took the Niagen NR, what they're feeling is awake. So a lot of people like to take it in the morning. But remember, everybody's individual. It's in your cells. So you're not going to always feel like, I don't necessarily feel I get a little sleepy, and some people do, so I'll take it at night. So you have to see how you feel and how your body does.
Well, maybe you're supposed to feel sleepy, right? Maybe
some people do. Yeah, some people do. And some people, like my dad, felt really awake. And he was like, ooh, get me more. Like he was like, I need this.
It's whatever your body needs is the reaction that you're going to have from it.
Right. And if you it's the #1 supplement sold in the US. And if you look even on Amazon, that was one thing too. When I actually had looked into it and looked on Amazon, I'm like, holy cow, how many people are taking this? And I read all the reviews, and I was like, wow. People feel all sorts of, symptoms from awake that are, I feel more or less fatigued. So,
brain fog, all that kind of thing.
It could be different, depending on the person.
And, even just like, I guess, skin how the body heals and repairs is where it's going to show up, cognitive function. And here's the thing, we're so used to being, I guess, dictated to on like, you take this headache drug, for example, and it goes straight to the area of source of the pain, which is the brain, which doesn't make sense because obviously it goes through the gut, passes through the whole system. But we think that when we take something, it goes straight to fix this, that, or the other. But if we understand that this is just allowing the body to work optimally, and then whatever symptom, subsides, or whatever you need, whether it's more energy or less energy to help you repair, function optimally, then that's what's going to happen as a result. So would you say that NAD is kind of like the new, estrogen, for example, for women, when that declines and we want to replace it or
I'm replacing that too. That I actually do both. So that's great for me, or if you choose to do it. But it certainly is in terms of health. I call it healthy aging because that's truly what it is.
Okay.
You're not going to be, I'm sorry, you're not going to be 18 again. Nobody's going to,
But can we just say that that's okay?
That is okay, and we have to own it. And that is really important because I don't want to be 18 again.
I think it's a Western world problem though, Toby.
I agree.
Only in the Western world is everybody obsessed with trying to hang on to youthful looks. And I really am trying to unpack why, because, it's kind of sick, really.
No, I agree. But I do want to age healthfully. People talk about retirement. I'm in my 50s. I'm like, oh no, I got too much to do, man. I got so much I want to do. And
that's what keeps you young.
Exactly. And that's why I do take it for healthy aging. I want to age gracefully. I want to age with less issues. And that's the purpose of it. And it's not a one and done.
No.
So I did a review in one of the media outlets, and I took it for 3 weeks. So a minimum of 3 weeks, they do see an increase by about up to 150%. Of
most supplementation you will need to take for about 3 weeks, won't you? Before you start feeling or seeing anything.
Did you ever see those TikTok things? And they're like, I took and then overnight I felt woo, and it just doesn't work that way.
And I guess that's why it's so important to talk about what you said, and also what I brought up, not being, I guess, programmed by pharmaceutical ads that say you take this and instantly you get that. That's not how the body works to heal. You know what I'm saying? Look at how long we've neglected our body for, and look how long it takes to create even a new stomach lining, 6 weeks. So, the body's continually repairing, isn't it? As we get new cells every second of every day, it takes time. So I guess now that we understand that this is a lifestyle choice,
yes,
we understand the type of, supplementation, that they're not all created equal. This is really important. What are some of the other, I guess, misconceptions in the world that you get a bit passionate and fired up about? What's going on? What's all the talk about when they say, first of all, I'm on TikTok and this happened instantly? What's another little irk?
Well, another little irk, in terms of the supplementation, I think it's really important. People are not looking for that third-party verification.
Right.
And I just want to explain that because there's some places that are like, no, we have the metal panel. Not that metals aren't important, but they're not doing a 360.
Got it.
So you want NSF, you want Alchemy approved, you want, those type of third party, because they're not just looking at the metal panel, they're looking at the facilities. They're looking at exactly how much in there is in there. Mm-hmm. So when someone picks up a supplement and is like, woo, this is great, I'm going to, no, because there is regulation on supplements, but there's so many, they're not tightly looking at everything. So that gives the consumer needs to be the person kind of in charge of their own health, and people don't realize that.
Oh yeah, I've been teaching that for decades, take control of your own health, and largely because iatrogenesis is a thing, which is hospital or medical error. We're only human, taking the wrong things at the right time or the right things at the wrong time, and just human error, with the best doctors, drugs and surgery. But by the way, full disclaimer in this episode, we're not giving any medical advice.
No.
We're educating and entertaining people to go and seek what works for them.
Correct.
And what is also quite admirable to note is the packaging. And it's in glass, it's not in plastic. It's also a blue glass. This is really important for transportation, how the product actually stays with integrity. Do you want to talk about all the kinds of integral things that the company has thought about?
I've been on calls with them where those scientists are really digging into the nitty gritty, and they really want to make the best product that is possible for everybody. They check everything internally, externally. They use it, they donate their product to do studies on. They really are doing everything possible to ensure that you get the best, highest quality, gold standard product possible. And that's why I work with them. I don't just work with anyone, and I'm very specific who I work with.
Toby, I can't believe you're sitting around watching all of this, media buzz around NAD, and you just rang True Niagen and said, "No, you're not doing this properly. Let me teach you."
I actually heard them speak because I go to a ton of conferences with a lot of information that probably a lot of people that I pitch it to my editors, and they're like, "No, it's not." And then 2-3 months later or 6 months later, like, "Oh wait, what were you pitching? Now it's popular." So I know things before people know things.
What else did you know before it became a thing? I mean, back
Impossible. I knew about
Yeah.
that well before, because Expo West, if you go there, you'll find things out a lot sooner.
Got it. Yeah.
Plant-based, beans, legumes, all,
I was the pioneer of chia seeds when I wrote
Chia
I
seeds.
wrote a book called Eat Fat, Be Lean, and it was a bestseller when the fat food movement was. I was creating that when people were trying to give up the sugar. And I remember coming to America when I lived in Australia on press tours and talking about chia seed pudding. And everyone's like, "What is a chia seed?" But now everybody knows, right? So education is the biggest part of our role in wellness, right? So can you see a shift of more educated folk?
I think there's a mix, because as a registered dietitian, I do take it extremely seriously to make sure that I'm giving you the science, that I'm giving you the best advice. I don't partner up with just anybody. But there are a lot of people on social media who really don't do their homework. You're doing your homework. A lot of people don't do their homework, and you're educating. A lot of people don't. And so they're like, "Ooh, they did it." Like, my son's 23. He's like, "Ooh, I saw that, star or that person or that athlete do that. Mom, is that good?" And, I'll then go through it, look it up, and say yes or no to him.
Yeah, because the athlete may have just been paid a bleep load of money to promote that, right? Mm-hmm. To be funded to continue to do what they do. But there's not always integrity behind that.
That's it, yeah.
Product placement as well. So, yeah, it's definitely my job to do the homework, to do the research. I think that's why I've become this trusted voice after, 3 decades or more doing this, because people don't have the time to research, right?
No.
So they have to turn to people like us to go, "Well, listen, this is what I've found. Can you give it the thumbs up or the thumbs down?" Right?
Right. And so that's, I feel like we're bonded. That's both that we both definitely want to do that to help. And really, truly, my mission in life is to help people just be healthier and reach their own goals, however they want to do them, but with integrity and good product and safety and quality.
Should we play a little game of thumbs up or thumbs down on some stuff?
Sure.
Do you want to throw it at me, or I'm going to throw it to you?
You throw it at me, because I have so much in my brain. I'm like,
all right. Synchronizing sleep with the lunar cycle.
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm going to give it a thumbs down.
Okay.
And for that reason, it's because I definitely travel a lot, and people have different schedules. What if somebody works at night, right? And they have to stay awake. And so I think they need to find their way of living their healthiest life, no matter where it is.
Okay. Packaged foods.
Packaged foods, that could be a whole other 3 shows.
I'm asking a dietitian about food.
Yeah, we're still waiting for a clinical or a true definition of ultra processed foods, right?
Versus minimally processed
versus
foods.
minimally processed versus nutrient dense foods, versus there are people who are food insecure and longer shelf life. So there's a lot to unpack when you get to, the Nova system. I've written a bunch of articles debunking myths on that as well.
Okay.
So we're going to give it a lot of information. Sideways thumbs.
Okay, I like that. What about counting micros and macros?
That's going to get a sideways thumb too. So some people love it and it works really well. What did we say? Nutrition is very individualized. So I don't ever say, do this, you must do this. What I say is, here's your option. This is what might work for you. And if it does, thumbs up. Great.
Yeah.
If it works for you, amazing. But if it's really not for you, there are other techniques that you can use to still get the proper macros.
Also, Toby, I always say that we have to be not only varied with our diet, but dynamic. So what worked for us last week, last year, might not work for us this year or
Because
this
we're
week.
ever evolving. Like with
Exactly.
age, our bodies change, our minds change, our experiences evolve. And so we need to keep up with our own bodies.
Exactly. What about injectables?
Injectables like
Anything you're going to inject, anything.
I am very careful. So like I told you, True Niagen, so they do make an IV and they do have where like you can get a shot
Yep.
with it. You actually need a prescription. It's actually, it is compounded.
Yeah.
A doctor has to give you, it's compounded by the FDA. There's a, they certainly have that. And then there was 600 clinics who offer like real people who are certified to give it to you properly.
Right.
And so I'm very careful with anything I inject directly into my body. Very, very careful.
I know. I think people are just becoming too used to needles. Actually, we've kind of like glamorized it and gone, let me self-administer this peptide, or let me go and just believe whatever is injected into me is going to be fine. And people aren't reading labels enough on all the things, right? So I have lots of views around all of that as well. I have taken NAD shots, not the IV bag, but the actual intramuscular shot. So I'm just wondering whether that was a waste of time.
Did you do NAD or did you do the NR?
I did both actually. I had an NR, but my body wasn't good at that. My body reacted in kind of like an anaphylactic way, but that's because from the breast implant illness, I had mast cell activation syndrome, and I had to stop that one. But the
That's
shots.
why everybody's individual. So then there's powder and then there's
That's right. So I still take this orally. I've been taking it orally for about, I don't know, nearly 2 months now. And I'm enjoying it. So this is exactly why we needed to get you on the show. I've been talking about True Niagen on mainstream television, women's fitness magazines, on my social media, on Instagram. And then finally we get to have you in the flesh. So, before we wrap, I would love to know, is there anything else you want to share with us about the company, where it's headed, or what you've most been proud of seeing?
Really, if you go to the website, if you want to look at it, they have packages coming out. So it's trueniagen.com. And I just am honored to work with them. The gentleman who actually founded the precursor, the NR, he is on their board as well. And it's just amazing to speak to him because he did it many years ago in university. So it's just a very cool story and a very, nicely scientifically and sound company. So I really enjoy it.
I think the company's really onto something.
They really are. And I think they're ahead of the game because they were the first ones who really came out with this. And then now I get like all these pictures in my email from a lot of different brands. And I'm like, nope, I'm going to stick with the one I trust the most.
So good. Look, I just wanted to thank you for coming on. You are going to get this present from LifeTune.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so you're going to get Flex, it's called. You can put it on your keyring or you can put it on your necklace and help you to harmonize the electromagnetic fields around you. But if you want to stay ahead of the game as well, and you would like to find out more about NAD or NR or True Niagen, really, as we've just learnt, is the one to watch out for, then make sure you check out their website. But if you loved this episode, share it with everybody because you want them to age well as well, don't you? Thanks for tuning in to Well To Do.